Good evening, everyone. Welcome to BlackLogic. Republican Jasmine Crockett just eviscerated Melania Trump's so-called Einstein Visa, questioning how a nude model with no major accolades snagged a spot meant for Nobel Peace Prize winners and Olympic legends. And then former MSNBC's Reid dropped a firestorm warning that Melania herself could face denaturalization and deportation if Trump's policies are ever turned against his own family. I wonder if this is political theater, or is this just Democrats being petty, or is this actually somehow violating the law if Trump were to reverse naturalization of U.S. citizens? Well, this is one of those shocking but very relevant stories that I want to inform you guys about, because during a June 25th House Judiciary Subcommittee hearing, Jasmine Crockett targeted what's known as the EB1 visa, snappily dubbed the Einstein Visa, reversed for immigrants with extraordinary ability in science, arts, sports, business, or education. And Crockett minced no words. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, Nobel Peace Prize or Pulitzer. Before we get deep inside the story, I believe it's important to provide some context when it comes to this particular story, because the feud between these two, President Trump and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, hasn't stopped with Melania Trump. It started way before then.
I look at the Democrats, they're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding.
The fact that you just got done engaging in a conversation where we have a president of the United States who has no idea about the oath that he just took on January 20th tells me everything that I need to know. He didn't even have good sense enough in that same interview to say something as simple as, yes, I will follow the Constitution. You know, the thing that actually derived from the oath that he was supposed to take. And he supposedly took an oath, which there's a lot of people that point out that he never put his hand on the Bible, even though he acts as if he could somehow be the Pope. But nevertheless, that oath specifically says that you will defend the Constitution. So the idea that you are now taking the Constitution and, as I said at the DNC, putting it through a paper shredder is a problem. And I think that this should not be partisan. This should be right versus wrong. A lot of the things that this administration is doing, they don't have anything to do with partisanship. This is right versus wrong. And right now, they are consistently wrong.
All right. Now, that was the response from President Trump as far as low IQ dealing with Jasmine Crockett. But it goes a little more sinister than that, because, again, Jasmine Crockett says she keeps her message simple so Trump can understand it. Basically, reverberating the same thing Trump said about her, that he is a low IQ person. I'm just going to read some of this for you guys to provide context as we get more involved in this particular story. Texas Rep. Jasmine Crockett, who takes no fear in challenging President Donald Trump, and Rep. Majority Taylor Greene, has admitted she keeps her messaging simple so that the pair can understand it. During an interview with Stephen Colbert Monday, Crockett admitted, I need to keep it simple, especially when I'm trying to send a message to him. Colbert pressed the representative on a now viral clip in which she asked an official whether or not Trump or trans people are responsible for various misdeeds. The moment occurred during a DOJ subcommittee hearing on USA fencing last week, and Crockett posed a series of questioning regarding deportations, the economy, tariffs, and medical funding cuts. And Fatima Goss Graves, who was testifying in defense of trans rights, gave a series of short, blunt answers, naming Trump as being responsible for those who issue. So again, this has been turning up all over the place, ladies and gentlemen, of these two going back and forth. And as Jasmine Crockett is now the new face of the Democratic Party, her words hold more weight than they ever had before. So there's been a lot of rumoring and rhetoric and whispering on what's actually going on when it comes to the Trump administration, Jasmine Crockett, and also Reid. But we're going to get into that as well, because she turned up the heat. It doesn't take an Einstein to see the math ain't mathing here, calling into question Melania's eligibility for deportation. I believe that this spat has been going on for quite some time, and it started with the low IQ. Anytime you're trying to really insult someone's intelligent, who deem themselves as intelligent, then you're going to have a lot of backlash. You're going to have a lot of pettiness, which I believe in some regards. But does this hold some sort of legal legitimacy? That is my question when it comes to that. Again, we're going to dive this a little bit deeper here because it may be bigger than what people may think. Oh, this is just retaliation of the Democrats losing a primary from Kamala Harris to Donald Trump. It could have more validity than that because, again, this is about Jasmine Crockett's fumes over Melania's Einstein Visa and Strays the First Lady modeling career. Okay, so again, let me show you a very quick clip here to provide context as we get in deeper inside of the story. Stay with me here, guys. I believe that this clip is going to provide a lot of insight.
Since we're talking about integrity, I'm confused as to why my Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. Let me remind y'all that Melania, the First Lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And what that stands for is an Einstein Visa. Now, y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein Visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here.
Right. So that is what Jasmine Crockett has been on for quite some time. And just to kind of comb back through some of the things, because Crockett underscored that Melania, a model, and I say a model, and she's not referring to supermodels like Tyra Banks or Cindy Crawford or Naomi Campbell level. She's not referring to them. Didn't have the kind of global acclaim usually linked to an EB-1 visa, meaning an Einstein Visa. And she even highlighted a GQ nude spread from 2000 to illustrate her perceived lack of standout artistic achievement. And that was on people.com, if you guys want to reference that, questioning the credibility of the visa's approval process. See, Crockett used Melania's case to drive a broader argument that visa rules are being applied unevenly, harsh enforcement of immigrants generally, but soft treatment for well-connected individuals. Does she have a point? See, again, here on BlackLogic, I'm very neutral. I'm unbiased. Some people say, oh, well, you're getting your news from CNN. You're getting your news from the Daily Beast. You're getting your news. I'm getting my news from Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, The Independent, you name it. I want a collaborate news so I can decipher truth from fiction, truth from false, all these other things. Because she pointed out the hypocrisy of aggressive deportation and visa recreation policies when the president's own family appeared to skate by. I am not for illegal immigration. And some people, especially in the staunch MAGA crowd, are not for mass legal immigration because the drama peaked with Cato's Institute, Alex Norstat, jokingly defended Melania, crediting the achievement of marrying Donald Trump. He made a joke stating that I think there's any achievement because she married Donald Trump. It was savage. It was memorable, an instant viral clip that hasn't got that much light. Now, critics have flooded social media, branding Crockett as jealous, evil, or disgraced, while others praise her for calling out what they saw as an elite privilege. Could this be elite privilege? Because again, the people at the bottom, they're being deported. A lot of their residencies, a lot of their naturalizations, supposedly, allegedly, is being revoked, is being overturned. So analysts point out that the Einstein visa criteria are indeed flexible and subjective, meaning Melania's high-profile modeling could technically fit, even without formal awards. Now, that is something unprecedented, but as we look at this, it's a possibility. Now, Melania, as a poster child for immigration special treatment amid fierce efforts to crack down on immigration, and Crockett's sharp, viral-worthy zingers demand attention. It's not just about one person. It's about a referendum of who gets access and who doesn't. And again, I know a lot when it comes to this. I would like to give my take. Now, the power play here is that Crockett turned a dry visa debate into a cultural moment in some degree. And she exposed what I believe a glaring double standard between everyday immigrants and those with insider access. And when I mean everyday immigrants, I mean those who are in legal status, who have a legal visa or some sort of resident status. And she stated that the math ain't mathin' line that in some, they're saying is a mic drop. It's a one-liner to me. It's not that significant because the Einstein Visa classification really isn't white or black, letting defenders claim legitimacy. I just don't see it in those regards because, in short, Representative Jasmine Crockett leveraged sound policy critique, bold rhetoric, and very viral flair to challenge Melania Trump's Einstein Visa. Not saying she's here illegally. No. Just challenging the legitimacy and the validity of her stance when it comes to the Einstein Visa, turning a legal loophole into a very public spectacle about fairness, integrity, and the value of achievement in American immigration. But let's go a little step further here, because when it comes to no other than Joy Reid, we have to really, really look at this, because this is what they're doing here, family. Is this a ploy to deport Melania Trump? Is this a ploy for that? Are they trying to deport the Trump family because of what he's doing when it comes to the Democratic Party and how he's turning everybody MAGA or MAHA, depending on whatever conservative camp that people lie in, conservative libertarians, conservative socialists, whatever it may be? Is this the way for them to say, bye, Melania, because you need to get reversed as well? Your legitimacy of your Einstein visa doesn't hold up in court. Could this be a larger ploy? Could this be a larger case? I'm just asking questions because what is the end state in this? Now, on July 8th, Joy Reid delivered a very powerful on-air warning wrapped in biting insight. She suggested that Melania Trump, as a naturalized citizen, could be vulnerable to deportation if Trump's threats to denaturalize U.S. citizens even come full circle under a full administration. That is the ploy here. She's questioning these things. And I'm just trying to figure out, is this Joy Reid's way of protecting her status? Because as she stated, I believe that her mother came here illegally. And again, that kind of falls within the ramification that even though you are a U.S. citizen, according to the Constitution, could your status be revoked? But again, I'll provide context here for you guys. I'll let you guys hear on this report very quickly.
Because of her husband's denaturalization threats. Let's watch.
If we ever get a Democratic president, they could say, I don't like Melania Trump. She wasn't born here. She was born in Slovenia. She is a naturalized citizen. She's out of here. And by the way, Ivana Trump, the late Ivana Trump, who's buried in the golf course in New Jersey in Donald Trump's golf club, she wasn't an American citizen. And 3 of her children are Don Jr., Eric, and Ivanka. And maybe the next Democratic president says, you know what? I don't like the Trumps. And so we're going to denaturalize all of the Trump children whose mother was a foreigner at the time.
When asked.
Right. So again, that is a rhetoric from no other than Joy Reid, who is a first generation American, because again, her parents are foreigners as well. So again, I take all this into context. I absolutely do. I take all this into context because it's highly significant that we speak about these things to understand the gravity of some of the things that she's stating, right? A lot of things that she's stating, because Reid's remarks follow a new Justice Department memo granting federal prosecutors greater discretion to pursue denaturalization cases, especially against those accused of committing certain crimes or securing citizenship fraudulently. And this deeply controversial shift, while not widely publicized, echoes darker chapters in U.S. immigration history. And Reid made this clear that if Trump can threaten to denaturalize others, a future president could absolutely target Melania Trump, a naturalized citizen from Slovenia. Now, Melania Trump immigration story is riddled with all sorts of contradictions and political irony. Is it quite clear, or was this privilege because of the connections of President Donald Trump? Now, she entered the U.S. as a model in the 1990s, and she received a green card in 2001, reportedly under the EB-1 visa. But now it seems as though both Representative Jasmine Crockett and Joy Reid want to basically say, goodbye, Melania, you don't belong here either. So if your husband is going to denaturalize legal immigrants, then you will have to go as well. This is just some of the rhetoric that's spewing out of social media as well as legacy media and the White House. Now, she was naturalized in 2006, later sponsored her parents for U.S. citizenship in 2018 via family reunification, the same policy that Donald Trump publicly vilified as chain migration. Now, this is just the truth, folks. I'm not conservative Republican. I'm not a liberal Democrat. I'm not an independent at all. I just want to give you guys the truth because, again, when you tune into certain platforms, wherever you're getting your media from comes the bias, comes their hidden agendas, but not here. Now, this is the truth as the reports have it, as the information is public. Again, this was the Einstein Visa was designed for people of extraordinary ability. I don't believe any model has any extraordinary ability. You look good, you're tall, you're slender, you look good in clothing, and you model around your body. Now that's just my personal take. Okay, that's my conjecture. But again, she received her green card in 2001, naturalized in 2006. And she sponsored her parents in 2018 via the family reunification. Okay, the same policy that President Trump publicly vilified as chain migration. Now, Reid also tapped into this glaring hypocrisy, noting, how can the Trump administration weaponize immigration while its own family benefits from the very system it attacks? So a warning to all Americans. And I just continue to look at this very unbalanced. She warned of a very dystopian future. What happens when the citizens become a weapon in the hands of authoritarianism? And this chilling possibility was underscored by Trump's own musing about removing birthright citizenships and revoking legal protections for immigrants with criminal records or alleged fraud. Now, Melania has said that the citizenship process was arduous, but I followed the law. But Reid's rebuttal landed with a thud. Where is the documentation of Melania's extraordinary ability to qualify for the EB-1 visa? Where's her extraordinary ability? What has she contributed to America? She came over here as a model, okay, but what is her ability to keep her under the Einstein Visa, not a regular work visa or entertainment visa, if there is one? Why did Trump really, in some regards, demands chain migration after using? Why he demonetized that to a degree? These are some legitimate legal and ethical questions and not just partisan attacks. These are real questions because, again, if you're going to do these things and your wife has used some of these same policies, now granted, he may state like whatever she used to naturalize herself and her family has already been done and they will be grandfathered in. But we're talking about today. Trump could have a counter argument that, again, whoever now is in America, who has ever been naturalized, who has ever used chain, quote unquote, migration of family reunification, they are grandfathered in and they will stay citizens. They will not be revoked. But if you're going to revoke these things, then I think in some regards, okay, again, I'm not a liberal. I'm none of these things that people label themselves to be. But these are valid questions because when we talk about the hypocrisy, Trump attacks on immigrants, legal immigrants, okay, I want to make sure we keep it legal, that it conflicts with Melania's and her family's pathway. And the president, that the Department of Justice denaturalization memo opens the door for political weaponization and the message to voters. No naturalized citizens is untouchable if loyalty is measured by party allegiances. Now, after combing through a lot of this to really condense it for you guys, so it can be regurgitated in some regards, My take is, Reid isn't being petty, but she's being petty. I know it's contradicting. I don't think she's being petty because she is asking some eye-opening questions when it comes to immigration in this country. Again, I'm against illegal immigration. And in some regards, when it comes to mass legal immigration, that can be decreased and slowed down in some regards, but not totally cutting off immigration altogether. But is she being prophetic? She's warning that what people are deeming on the left as authoritarian immigration policies are a boomerang. Okay, they'll come for Trump's enemies and maybe even his family, because Melania Trump's immigration path is politically radioactive because it embodies the exact systems her husband rallied against. It's the hypocrisy, not the woman, not that's under fire. Because if future presidents can selectively strip citizenships, the U.S. isn't just flirting with authoritarianism, it's inviting it to dinner. So again, are these two women that we see here, that people are stating are co-conspiring against the Trump family to have his family members and their children to be deported? And this is in regards to everybody except President Trump. This is everybody who was the birth child of Melania Trump and Melania herself. Are they conspiring to deport them all? That is the question here for you guys today. Thank you for joining BlackLogic. You guys have a great and wonderful evening.